Have you ever noticed how some people seem unshaken while the world unravels? It's not because they don't feel the chaos or carry fear. It's because they've mastered the art of staying with themselves when everything else tries to pull them apart. Modern life rarely gives us true silence. Instead, it floods us with relentless noise, deadlines pressing in, arguments sapping your energy, and news that rattles your core. Most people react on impulse, swept into the storm, losing their sense of center. But there's another way, a quieter, more powerful path, where you stop struggling for control and instead become the anchor in your own life. This isn't about escaping reality, it's about facing it breath by breath and holding your ground. Calm isn't weakness or giving up. Calm is quiet control, earned strength. When the world trembles but you remain steady, you've already claimed your power. The Stoics never tried to hide from the storm. They learned to stand inside it, not with arrogance or bravado, but with sharp clarity and unshakable hearts. Welcome to Stoic Philosophy Daily, where your story matters. Share your experience or your biggest struggle below. Every comment you leave is a gift. Here, your voice matters. We read with care, answer with heart, and treat your journey as part of our own. This is more than a channel, it's a circle of strength. If you're ready to find that same center where you remain calm, even as the world spins, stay with me. Let's walk this path together. 1. Strength that survives the storm. It's easy to look strong when life goes as planned. When your schedule flows, when people agree with you, when your world feels smooth. But that's not a strength, that's a circumstance. It's like a building that stands tall only because there is no wind. You don't know its foundation until the ground starts to shake. Real strength shows up when it's not convenient. When the betrayal hits, the plan fails, and the ground shifts under your feet. Chaos doesn't create weakness. It reveals what's already fragile. It peels away appearances and demands something deeper. Psychologically, this is the moment the mind loses its usual sense of control, and fear tries to rush in to protect you through panic, anger, or withdrawal. But that reaction is only an old survival script, not a command you must obey. The Stoics didn't wait for comfort to test their power. They trained their minds to stay centered while the world turned upside down. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly, "You have control over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That power begins the instant you notice the surge of emotion, but choose not to hand it the steering wheel. That strength isn't born in speeches or theories, it's forged in silence, in the breath you take instead of yelling, in the moment you unclench your fists and choose stillness, even as your body is buzzing with adrenaline like a storm trapped under your skin. In the night, you couldn't sleep but still showed up the next day, not pretending to be fine, just refusing to be broken. Each time you do this, your nervous system learns a new lesson. Discomfort is not danger, and you are still in control. I once saw a friend lose everything in a single week. Business gone, trust betrayed, future unclear. But every morning he showed up, quiet, steady. His one rule: don't let the storm outside become the storm inside. That rule worked because he understood something most people miss. External chaos is an event. Internal chaos is a choice repeated in thoughts, breath, and posture. He guarded those. Try this. Think of the last moment that shook you. Don't just remember what happened. Remember how you responded. Did your reaction bring you clarity or confusion? This week, pick one discomfort, delay, conflict, or rejection, and use it as a drill. When tension rises, breathe deeper, slow your movements, and relax your jaw. When panic hits, say nothing for 10 seconds. Notice how the wave of emotion rises, peaks, then falls if you don't feed it. Ask yourself, am I strengthening my center right now or feeding the storm? Don't match the chaos. Observe it. Let that be your new baseline for power. At Stoic Daily, we believe storms don't define you. Your response does. Drop in the comments, I don't break, I breathe. What chaos will you turn into clarity this week? 2. The calm that changes the room. You've felt it before. That moment when you walk into a room and the tension is so thick, it sits in your chest like a weight. Voices are sharp, movements quick, emotions radiating like static in the air. Most people either add to it or shut down entirely. But there's always one person who doesn't. They don't speak louder, they don't command the room, yet somehow they become the center, not by force, but by stillness. That's the power of calm. It's not passive. It's a stabilizing energy like a mountain in a storm. People don't look at it because it's loud. They look because it's unmovable. In that moment, when everyone else is tensing up or speeding up, calm becomes the unexpected rhythm, and human nature responds to rhythm. In a world ruled by nervous systems that mirror each other, calm is contagious. One steady breath can slow a whole room. One grounded posture can reset the emotional temperature. This isn't theory, it's biology. The brain is wired to scan for emotional cues, tone, pacing, posture, and sync accordingly. When someone holds calm, they become a psychological safe zone, and others instinctively move toward it, like ships steering toward a steady light in fog. The Stoics knew this before science confirmed it. Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And sometimes, the most powerful reaction is none at all, just a pause. Not silence out of fear, but stillness born of clarity, a clarity that disarms chaos because it refuses to feed it. In that pause, something deeper happens. The emotion rises, but your awareness increases faster. This is what mastery looks like. Choosing when your emotions deserve expression and when your silence says more. In a reactive world, the one who pauses holds the power. And this isn't about pretending you don't feel. It's about learning the difference between signal and surge, between a feeling that guides and one that hijacks. That's the moment your mind knows it's not a slave to momentum. Try this. The next time tension rises, on the road, in a meeting, or with someone you love, don't match it. Match your breath instead. Uncross your arms, loosen your jaw. Count 3 slow seconds before responding. That single gap is where chaos loses its grip. You'll feel the shift, not just inside, but around you. Calm spreads like warmth in cold water. At Stoic Daily, we believe calm isn't just emotional control, it's quiet leadership. It's the decision to anchor a room without overpowering it. Drop in the comments. What was one time your calm shifted the energy around you? 3. The power of not moving. There are moments when everything in you wants to react, to speak, defend, fix, and explain. Your body tightens, your thoughts race, and instinct screams, do something. We're trained to believe action equals strength, but often the strongest move is the one you don't make. Stillness in chaos is not passivity. It's control at the highest level. It's the discipline to hold your shape when pressure tries to bend you. Storms come in many forms: confrontation, loss, financial strain, emotional rupture, or the quiet storm of overthinking that happens entirely in your own mind. In those moments, the world pushes for reaction, but reaction is surrender to momentum. Stillness is choosing your direction instead. Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." That power becomes visible not when life is easy, but when it isn't. See, when the accusation lands and you don't rush to defend. When tension rises, you breathe instead of escalating. When you allow a wave of emotion to pass through you without letting it carry you away. like a rock standing in a rushing river. You've seen this before in tense conversations. Voices rise, words get sharper, energy spirals upward like heat in a sealed room. Everyone waits for the explosion, for someone to fire back and push the conflict further. But sometimes one person does something unexpected. They don't interrupt. They don't defend immediately. They let the other person finish. They hold eye contact, breathe slowly, and say calmly, "I understand what you're saying." In that moment, the emotional chain snaps. The conflict was moving like a wave, building force with every reaction. But stillness acts like a shoreline that doesn't move. The wave breaks, loses shape, and falls. Nothing dramatic happened on the outside, yet everything shifted. Because someone refused to step into the emotional current, they stayed on solid ground instead. Stillness is often misunderstood as weakness or indifference, but internally, it is work. It is the moment your heart pounds and you stay rooted. The surge of anger rises and you let it fall without speaking. That is a private victory, invisible but decisive. From that space, clarity returns, and you respond from values, not impulse. Stillness is trained. Each time you pause before reacting, you strengthen it. Each slow breath during pressure teaches your nervous system that discomfort is not danger. Over time, you build an inner foundation that doesn't crack when noise grows loud. One day, the storm returns, and you notice that nothing inside you collapses. You remain. That is mastery. So when the noise rises again, ask, is this a moment for movement or for stillness? Because sometimes silence carries more authority than argument, and composure speaks louder than defense. From that ground, the way you face life changes completely. 4. Be the flame, not the reflection. Have you ever entered a room and without a word spoken, your chest tightens, your voice shortens, your thoughts speed up? You didn't choose it, the room did. And that's the danger, because most people become whatever energy surrounds them. It's not conscious, it's instinct. You absorb the tension, the sarcasm, the rush, and you hand it back without realizing you've surrendered. But mirroring chaos isn't control, it's contagion. Like two guitars placed side by side, pluck one string and the other vibrates in sympathy. Most people don't know that someone else's frequency has tuned them, but the Stoic doesn't mirror storms. He learns to tune inward. He doesn't just walk into a room. He arrives with intention, holding his breath like a steady lantern in the wind. And that's where strength begins, when you stop letting rooms change you and start changing the rooms you enter. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But thoughts aren't the only dye. The energy you imitate also stains you. And if you don't notice it, your peace becomes hostage to whatever storm walks in. That's not sovereignty, that's emotional outsourcing. So try this. When someone raises their voice, lower yours. When the group rushes, slow your breath. When blame gets thrown like sparks, don't catch them. Just imagine yourself as a still flame in a room full of wind, dancing, yes, but never going out. This isn't passivity, it's quite defiant. The rare kind that doesn't seek to win the room, only to stay centered in it. And when others try to drag you back into reaction, because they will, don't fight. Don't explain, don't rush. Just remain. And because in that stillness, something shifts, not just around you, but within you. Your nervous system begins to trust your presence, and that calm becomes a new default. You are not a mirror, you are the flame, not here to reflect storms, but to outlast them. And the steadier your fire, the more others will use it to find their way. 5. Train the mind before the storm hits. One day, you feel unstoppable. The next, one message, one look, one shift, and you're unraveling. That's the price of preparing with emotion instead of intention, because emotion by nature is weather. And when your strength is built on good weather, the storm always wins. Most people don't train their minds. They wait to feel ready, to feel calm, to feel brave. But the Stoic doesn't wait. He decides. He chooses now who he will be then, long before pressure arrives. That's not fantasy. That's mental training. Marcus Aurelius practiced premeditatio malorum, imagining adversity, not to invite it, but to strip it of surprise. If this happens, I won't collapse. I've already met it in thought. This isn't pessimism, it's preparation. It's packing your strength before the clouds gather. Because emotional preparation is like grabbing an umbrella after it starts to pour. You're drenched by the time you open it. But mental preparation, that's walking out the door already wearing armor. It's calm, not from luck, but from design. Try this. Before a difficult conversation, before a deadline, before stepping into uncertainty, run the tape forward. Ask, what could go wrong? Where do I usually lose control? What version of me do I want to show up if that happens? Visualize the tension before it hits. Feel it in your breath, your chest. Then rehearse your anchor response, not the perfect one, the intentional one, and repeat. Over time, the training embeds. You stop needing ideal conditions to perform. You move from reaction to command, like a seasoned pilot who's already run this turbulence in 1,000 simulations. The pressure comes, but you're not caught scrambling. You just engage what's already been built. That's the shift. From hoping things go smoothly to knowing you're solid even when they don't. So ask yourself this, are you waiting to feel ready? Or are you training to be prepared? At Stoic Daily, we believe true strength is prepared, not improvised. And mental training is the quiet discipline that builds unshakable power before the test ever begins. Share below. What's one moment in your life that would have gone differently if you had mentally prepared first? How would you face it now? 6. Detachment is presence, not absence. When life pulls you in 100 directions at once, your mind instinctively clings to something, anything for control. A missed call, an unread message, an unexpected tone from someone you care about, and before you realize it, your attention is hijacked. You're no longer present. You're gripping illusions of control so tightly that you start to lose grip on yourself. But here's the paradox. The tighter you hold on, the more fragile you become. Like someone clinging to a branch in a rushing river, gripping for safety but making themselves more vulnerable to the current. The Stoic doesn't grab harder. He lets go with clarity, not withdrawal, not to escape, but to return to himself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Detachment is that realization lived. It's not absence, it's a focused presence. It's the ability to care without being controlled, to stay engaged without being enslaved by outcomes. Most people don't realize their suffering doesn't come from the event, but from the emotional leash they've tied to it. Like a balloon caught in the wind, they're dragged wherever reactions pull them. A delay becomes a verdict. A cold reply feels like betrayal. A failed plan becomes an identity crisis. But someone trained in detachment lives differently. They feel the same impact, but they choose not to identify with it. Their worth doesn't rise and fall with circumstances. They are rooted like a lighthouse in the storm, untouched by each crashing wave, because their foundation was never on the surface to begin with. Try this. The next time someone speaks sharply to you, don't personalize it. Pause, inhale, ask, is this mine to carry? Maybe they're tired. Perhaps it's their pain, not your failure. When a plan changes at the last minute, resist the urge to call it unfair. Say instead, how can I adapt with grace? Notice how your chest loosens. That's what regaining power feels like. It's not passive, it's precise. You reclaim the energy you've been bleeding into things you cannot control and invest it into your thoughts, your breath, your actions. That's real influence. And it doesn't depend on being liked or winning or controlling outcomes. It depends on standing tall in your own center, even when everything else is shifting. Seneca once warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Detachment is the discipline that shuts the door on that imaginary suffering. It silences the inner courtroom and lets you move through life unshackled, not numb, alive, awake, and light. At Stoic Daily, we believe peace is not the absence of chaos, it's the presence of self. Comment below. What's one thing you're ready to release your grip on this week? 7. Calm minds create clear solutions. Calm minds create clear solutions. In the heart of every storm, there's a moment where pressure screams for action. The walls feel like they're closing in. Your breath shortens, your fingers twitch to do something, anything, to escape the tension. Most people confuse that tension with urgency. They move fast, not from clarity, but from panic. And chaos loves that. It doesn't need to defeat you. It only needs you to act before you think, like trying to read a map while running through fire. Everything blurs. You move, but you're lost. But the Stoic moves differently. They know clarity doesn't come from motion. It comes from stillness. Seneca said, "A good character once established is not easily moved. A mind in harmony is a fortress." And that fortress isn't built whether the skies are clear. It's built when nothing makes sense, and yet you choose to pause, not out of fear, but out of mastery. Calm is not passivity, it's preparation, like a surgeon before the first cut, like a pilot before liftoff. No rush, no panic, just control. Think back. When was the last time you truly solved something while pacing the floor, cursing under your breath? Most breakthroughs don't arrive in the heat. They come in the quiet that follows. Try this. Next time stress hits, do the opposite of what your instincts demand. Don't answer right away. Don't hit send. Don't fix it immediately. Step back. Set a 10-minute timer and go somewhere silent, even if it's just closing your eyes for 60 seconds. Picture your thoughts like muddy water in a jar. Every swirl of panic makes it harder to see. But if you let it settle, clarity returns on its own. And here's what's happening inside you. When you pause, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles logic and long-term thinking, regains control. Your stress hormones drop. Blood flow returns to the parts of your mind built for calm, focus, and solution. That's not New Age. It's neuroscience. And it's why the calm person doesn't just feel better, they solve better. Over time, this becomes instinct. You catch yourself before you react. You hold your tongue before the words escape. You don't need to rush to prove anything because your presence is already an answer. And in that stillness, something powerful happens. You stop fighting shadows. You stop running from the smoke. You deal with what is and nothing more. So next time the room fills with noise, when everything demands your urgency, try the most radical move of all. Stillness. Let the world chase panic. You'll move at the speed of reason. When calm becomes who you are. Peace isn't a weekend retreat. It's not a moment you stumble upon when life softens. It's a skill, a discipline, and like any real strength, it's forged under pressure, not away from it. Train your breath to be your anchor, even when your heart races. Train your eyes to filter out the noise, to see not what is loud, but what is true. And above all, train your mind to come home, to what you can control, to the thoughts that serve, and let the rest drift by like passing wind. You were not built to flee the storm. You were built to walk through it, centered, aware, untouchable. And when you master that posture, peace is no longer something you wait for. It becomes who you are. the ground you stand on, the air that moves with you, a calm so firm the world can shake and you remain whole. That is what Stoicism offers, not escape, but endurance. Not detachment from pain, but power through it. Not silence as surrender, but silence as sovereignty. Subscribe to Stoic Philosophy Daily and walk this path with us, where pain becomes power, storms reveal your stillness, and peace becomes your true home.
If you're seeking more, discover the full path on my channel.